Wait, there's something very weak coming through.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Aaron Julian, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 97. Today, we are going way back to 1997 for our 97th episode, talking about the special edition release. So, exciting episode ahead of us, and with us for the ride, as always, is Miss Heather Allred.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Heather. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
And, of course, also with us today, Mr. Todd Hoffman.
Hello, how are you? Glad to be back.
Doing just fantastic. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
It's always a pleasure to have you around. So, you could check us out on social media at WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Where else are we?
We just joined iHeartRadio, bro.
Yes, we're on iHeartRadio. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Play. We're all over the place. You can find us anywhere at WSTR Media. Email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. Leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. Leave us a note about your favorite Star Wars Celebration memories, and we will play you on air. You can catch our entire back catalog of episodes at WSTRmedia.com. That's www.wstrmedia.com. And now you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss our next live episode. Find us at youtube.com/WSTRmedia. Now, let's pay the bills. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. That's right, Amazon's own audio book reading service. That's right, you get access to over 425,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. And now, through the magical power of the internet, Audible is offering you, the listeners of WSTR, a free trial. So that's right.
Free.
You get free. Free. Everyone's favorite four-letter word. So
yeah,
you
exactly.
Sign up. You get a month of free service with them. That means you get 1 credit of your audiobook of choice for free. And if you're not happy with the service, you can cancel it, and you get to keep whatever book you choose forever. Forever.
That's a long time.
Forever is a very long time, yes. So, if you find yourself in the belly of the Sarlacc pit, you're going to be slowly digested over 1,000 years. Well, just pop in that audiobook you downloaded. You could listen to it on loop for as long as you want. So
forever and forever and forever.
Yes. Don't get so pick something long like War and Peace or something like that. So don't get caught unawares in the belly of the Sarlacc without one iota of entertainment. Head on over to audibletrial.com/WSTR. Again, that's audibletrial.com/WSTR for your free audiobook today. This podcast also brought to you by our merchandise store over at Teespring. That's right. We've got merch. We've got mugs. We've got t-shirts, tank tops, stickers, hoodies, and now for the ladies, we've got leggings.
Leggings.
That's right. Another tool in your tool belt to keep you warm in this in the Hoth-like conditions of Chicago. Just slip into one of these and you'll be sporting the WSTR Media style wherever you go. It's got a little Death Star logo thing right on the belt, and then down the side, it's got our hashtag, our handle,
socials.
our socials. So
yeah,
whether you're at the gym or you are hoofing it on the way over to Starbucks, you can be representing your favorite locally grown, organic, free-range podcast. So teespring.com/stores/WSTR Media to snag your merch today. All right, we've paid the bills, and now we've got the bounty hunters off our back. So with no further ado, Heather.
Yes.
What have we got? What are we looking forward to later in the podcast?
Yeah, later on, we're going to talk about some streams, aka streaming, aka Disney's taking my money.
We're streaming right now, Heather.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah.
And then we've got a little KFC. If you're getting hungry, stay with us.
Oh,
KFC.
And then with a tear down my eye, I bid you all Excelsior.
Oh, yeah.
So grab the Kleenex now. Grab your loved one. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We'll walk you through it.
Exactly.
It's going to be all right.
There you go.
Oh, man. But you've come here for more exciting things, and that is the main topic.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right. So before we get into that, I just want to do a quick thank you. We have had a flurry of special guests. And so I just want to thank everyone that has come on the last couple episodes. So start way back in episode 91, we had Brendan from, he did a fan film called TK630. And so we had him on. And then 92, we had Danny and Kristen from Castle Run Weekly talking about Celebration. 93, we had David from Followers of the Force, and he was amazing. And we talked all about turncoats. I think that's what we talked about,
Sounds
right?
Traitors.
Yeah. And traitors. 94, we talked to Brandon about Docu Bay 94, and he's from Talking Bay 94 podcast. So see how that works? We're weird like that with the numbers. 95, we talked about the sad state of Star Wars video games with Kevin Michelson. He's on Twitch. Go follow him at MojoX57X. And then last week we had fellow 501st from the East Coast Northeast remnant, Carla G, which, Aaron, you had a little trouble pronouncing her name last week.
Only one time. I got it. Miss Carla G. Cologne. There. Happy now?
There you go.
Nailed
bada bing,
it.
bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom.
There you go. All right. So, Aaron, without further ado, why don't you, we're going to launch a trailer that wasn't even cool back in 1997 to launch trailers. So, Aaron, why don't you launch this trailer?
Here we go.
For an entire generation, people have experienced Star Wars the only way it's been possible, on the TV screen. But if you've only seen it this way, you haven't seen it at all.
Now, for its 20th anniversary, the adventure of a lifetime returns to the big screen in a way you've never seen before.
There'll be no one to stop us this time.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
With newly enhanced visual effects,
They're coming in too fast!
THX, and digital sound. And a few new surprises.
Hanabuki Bardonyanta.
On President's Day weekend, 1997,
Good luck.
George Lucas and 20th Century Fox invite you to welcome back Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2. Finally, the motion picture event, the way it was meant to be experienced.
This will be a day long remembered.
As the entire Star Wars trilogy returns on February 14th, Star Wars, followed soon after by The Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi.
Move closer!
For a whole new generation who have yet to experience it on the big screen. And for everyone else to experience it again.
That boy is our last hope.
No, there is another.
The Star Wars Trilogy, Special Edition. See it again for the first time.
The Force will be with you, always.
Well, That
There's
was
a lot of
something.
explosions. There's a lot of explosions.
Let's just say that is regardless of what movie it is, that's just a fantastic trailer.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are,
Who
what
you
you're
are.
selling, who you're affiliated with.
I mean, you don't even have to see it. Obviously, you don't even have to see it. You just get chills. You're like, oh, okay, yep. Yoda's talking. I'm in. I'm listening.
Get the Wookiee roar, and you're like, sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are talking about today is the 1997 release of the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition. So as the trailer kind of promoted, that this is the 20th anniversary of Star Wars A New Hope. Aaron, were you alive in 1997?
A little bit. I was 3 years old, so make of that what you will.
Yes, you're a youngin'. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was I was in college, so that's okay. It's all good. It's all good. So they actually moved it up. So the trailer said it was like President's Day, but it came out basically end of January was A New Hope, and then followed by Empire Strikes Back in February, and then Return of the Jedi was released in March of 1997. So basically, George Lucas spent $10 million to rework the 1977 film, and then which was roughly a good chunk of the regular budget for Star Wars. And then he spent about $3 million and $2.5 million on episode 5 and 6. And so, yeah, it did all right in the theaters. They were, at that time, A New Hope was 20 years old, Empire 17, and 14 for you people at home. That's like 3 years apart because there were 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so
for all the mathematicians at home.
Yeah, exactly. All three of them opened up number one in the movie theaters for these older movies, and A New Hope did the best with 138 million the first weekend, 68 million, and 45 million for Return of the Jedi. So not too shabby for some old, early, late 70s, early 80s movies opening up in 1997. So it kind of the real reason is merchandising. No, the real reason is they really wanted to clean up the film, and it was kind of get the butts in the seat to see if there is any love for Star Wars, because we're in the dark times here. From 1983 to basically now, there wasn't any Star Wars, so you got that going on, and they wanted to really clean up the film and kind of make it ready for The Phantom Menace in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's almost like a test run for the visual effects.
Yes, yes, they want to. So the in the trailer, it says, "Oh, we're going to do some, new scenes." So George is constantly tweaking this thing, and they wanted to do kind of like a test run to see if not only can they clean up the film, but then add some digital effects that they're kind of working on for The Phantom Menace. So Heather, did you see this in the theaters?
No. So
I don't even know who you
and
are.
You call yourself a Star Wars fan?
I do call myself a Star Wars fan, and here's why.
There you go. That's the right answer.
I've seen the originals through Bruce.
Right.
And then I was in high school in the late 90s. I actually graduated in 97, so I was in a very
class of 97.
Class of 97. And so I was just in a very different, I think, place in my life. I was older, that I wasn't super like latched on younger sister to my brother kind of a thing.
Sure.
There's a 10-year age difference between me and Bruce, and so
right.
It probably just wasn't in the forefront of my being and that sort of a thing.
Right.
But when the prequels came out, then I re-engaged because it was new content. And then after that, it was anytime Bruce watched them, I watched them. And then I remember, I remember him having this whole conversation about remastered and what to purchase. And does he replace everything? And looking at him like, I don't understand what you're talking about. It's the same movie.
Oh no, Heather, we will be going through that very shortly.
But I've become educated. And so now I understand the differences. But no, I did not see the re-release 97 in the theaters. Yeah.
Aaron, you might have had a Star Wars shirt on. I don't know, like a onesie. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Not likely.
Not likely. For me, this is prime time. This is Todd getting back into Star Wars. So I just started collecting around this time. So there was a Toys R Us, which pour one for the homies. That's not no longer around. So I was at Toys R Us by my college in Kankakee, and it was just like full of Star Wars toys. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So I started collecting then. And shortly right after, this is when they started talking about the special editions and adding new footage. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be amazing. So we definitely had a little group of people going to the theater to watch this. And it was an event. It was the first, like, let's get the gang back together. And you kind of get that in the trailer. It's like, hey, guys, for the people that have never seen it, or for the people that have seen it and want to see a little bit more, it's getting butts in the theaters. And, I was there opening weekend all 3 times, for the movies. And it was fun. I specifically remember A New Hope, especially when the crawl came down, like people like literally cheered, just like you see, when Force Awakens came out or something like that. Like there was general excitement in the theater. I'm not going to spoil but like there's a couple groans though as well when we're watching this, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, there was just a natural vibe and kind of getting that fandom started back up for what we saw for the prequels. So
the boys are back in town.
The boys were back in town. Yeah, exactly. Here's a quote from Dennis Murn, who is a special effects guy for ILM. So he says, I was fine with doing it. I didn't feel at all we were hurting anything. My feeling always was the original version was always going to be there, and I don't know if that's necessarily happened. George hasn't put the effort into doing an HD, super good HD version of the original versions. I don't know if that will ever happen. But at the time, my feeling was that we could finally make these shots better. He went through and picked a bunch of shots, and I picked a bunch of shots, and we redid them, so they just looked a lot better. I was fine with it. I think it's gone overboard. I think it's been done too many times in too many shots. But I just feel as long as the original version is always there, that is fine to be able to work on it later and sort of like, so what, So it's kind of a cool quote. Like he's saying, yeah, we definitely want to mess with it. But then he's like, well, maybe we should just keep the original. So, yeah. So again, the whole point of this is it was on film and they wanted to get it to a digital version and kind of clean up the original print. And so they're trying to modernize the film itself. And then when they go in there and make it for more of a digital perspective, they really wanted to kind of restore the film and clean it up and make it a lot prettier. And then they're like, George was like, hey, we're going to do some more shots, and try to add some more visual effects to some of that and change some of the dialogue and make it cleaner and, just started tweaking with it. So,
yeah. And this isn't an entirely unusual idea because we've had like director's cuts and remasters of stuff since forever. Like, goodness, Blade Runner has like 4 different release versions.
Yeah.
But special edition is kind of different in that they're not just like giving it a good old spit polish or like adding deleted scenes, but they're creating entirely new content and like a bunch of CGI on top of it. And
right.
It's a change that's a bit more fundamental than just, the version the director always wanted,
Right. Yeah, and for us old folks, it's kind of hard to remember, well, what was the original and what wasn't. Now you're looking back at 40 years, so it's like, okay, I could tell you for a fact when I saw these movies in the theater, I knew every scene that was altered. I'm like, oh, here we go. Yep, that's not in the film. Like now when I look at the blue, like if you watch the Blu-ray now, it's been changed so much from the original version. It's like, wait, was that there or wasn't there?
It's almost an entirely new movie.
It is. But I could tell you for a fact, every new scene, I was like, this is 14 seconds of new footage, or, they didn't say that, or, stuff like that. So there's a lot of tweaks. When doing the research for this episode, I was like, oh, that actually wasn't in the special edition. That was for a whole, there's really a couple alterations. There's a 2004 DVD release, and obviously the Blu-ray that they did a lot of changes as well. I was like, oh, this wasn't actually in the special edition. So it's kind of interesting to see that even as we progress, this film has been modified multiple times. So, it's interesting, very interesting. All right, so shall we go through some of the changes? Let's start with A New Hope. All right, so A New Hope, if you're not very familiar with that, a lot of the backgrounds is all matte paintings. And what that means is that they make a painting and they film it, and then they put the live action on the film. And so what they try to do is clean up those matte paintings so it doesn't look so drab, and kind of digitally alter it. So that was one of the main things. One of the
the matte paintings, the only one I could recall that I knew they changed a lot was when R2's separated from C-3PO, and he's kind of crawling through the valley thing, and there's just this brilliant sunset, and that is not in the original at all. But for whatever reason, they're like, this scene's kind of boring. Let's put this sunset in this binary sunset in there.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, you didn't see this in Indiana Jones either. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
It's the same canyon. Okay, so the first major scene that they actually added was the Luxor droids, our little sand troopers, and they added some dewbacks and some more stormtroopers, because in the original shot, there's a dewback like way in the distance, but it doesn't even move. It just stares there because, well, it's like a cardboard cutout or a matte painting.
Out.
It's right.
Nobody
exactly.
wants to move when it's hot out.
They added a couple more troopers. Dewback kind of runs or not runs, but kind of walks across the sand, and then in the background, that thing that was just static actually makes a little noise, and you're like, whoa, that's a dewback. That's cool. The next shot is for you, Heather. They had some hot sandcrawler shots. So the sandcrawler, they only show the interior of the sandcrawler in A New Hope, but in the special edition, they show the sandcrawler outside because, well, again, it was only a partial sandcrawler that they used on the set, so they actually show it moving along in the desert of Tatooine. So that was kind of cool. There's an exterior shot of Obi-Wan Kenobi's little abode over the Beggar's Canyon. That was new, and so you kind of see the land speeder and Obi-Wan's hut that wasn't in A New Hope. Okay, so when the land speeder is kind of going towards Mos Eisley, it's a little smudgy and not clear because they use Vaseline to kind of cover up the mirrors that they use. So they clean that all up.
Red force field almost. Like
right,
a rusty force field, yeah.
Right. So they cleaned that up and make it actually look like it was hovering, so they kind of cleaned that up. And then there's a whole there's a whole little shot that they use going into Mos Eisley to basically look at. George was really disappointed with it being so sparse, so they kind of add all this. Basically,
Hustle.
Yeah, it's looking like a city. It's actually looking like a spaceport, and you kind of see the land speeder kind of zoom in, and you get to actually see some womp rats, which was nice. Yes, and they added a bunch when they enter into the cantina. There's another dewback. They're just throwing dewbacks everywhere. They're throwing dewbacks, and then there's a new Jawa scene with a swoop bike. So Jawa's riding basically a brontosaurus, which they call Aranto, and the swoop bike comes in. The Jawas, they fall off. They say Utini. Everyone laughs, and when Obi-Wan's doing his, these are not the droids you're looking for. There's a big Ronto thing that basically kind of walks in front of the camera that's added, and that one.
It's so bad.
That one hurt. That one hurt a little bit.
That one is like,
I'm watching the movie. Get out of the
way. They had some leftovers from Jurassic Park, and they're like, dude, we're putting this in. We're putting this guy in.
I know the people for this.
Right, exactly.
But really,
it's like a dinosaur, but. Yeah,
it's like you're playing video games and like your big brother like walks right in front of you really slowly in front of the TV, and you're like, stop, I'm playing.
Dude, this is one of the best scenes. It's like, no, we're just gonna walk right through it.
It's like that would be an outtake in any other movie. Yeah, he's like, nope, this belongs here.
Nope. We talked about this before. George was not very happy with the cantina shot in England, so they reshot it in LA. He had to go back to Fox to get more money. Well, he's like, I'm adding more aliens in the cantina. So there's a couple digital aliens that they add in the cantina. All right, so here we go. This is where
everybody seated, sit down, take a breath. Here we go.
Here we go. In this version, in the special edition, this version is where it kind of goes awry here. So this has been altered a couple times even after this. But in this version, let's start with the original. Original, Han just basically blasts Slimo Greedo
through the table.
He gone. Through the table.
Yep.
Greedo goes flap. He gone. He's smoking. Flips the coin. Sorry for your troubles. Goes on his way. In the special edition version, Greedo shoots first.
Not only that, but Han does a little head juke thing to dodge it.
It's a ninja. Yeah.
And then he shoots.
Then he shoots. Right. So before we dive into it, this is coming from Mr. George Lucas himself. Okay, I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is what he says. I can't even because I was thinking mythologically, should he be a cowboy? Should he be John Wayne? And I said, yeah, he should be John Wayne. And when you're John Wayne, you don't shoot people first. You let them have the first shot. George Lucas in 2015. Okay.
Okay. So let's be clear here. Han Solo is not John Wayne. He's Han Solo. Okay. And Han doesn't wear a white hat. He wears a gray hat. Let's put it that way. Uh-huh. And this scene is perfect for introducing that because it shows that he's cool, calm, and collected under pressure, and he's willing to do whatever is necessary for his own interests. And that's what sets it up later, so that when he comes back to save Luke during the Battle of Yavin, it's like, oh, actual character change.
Right.
But that's rubbed out when you have the whole stupid I dodged first thing, because then it just sets him up to be this, it's just self-defense, but it's not like Oh, he went first. This is upsetting. I mean, this is like the first change so far in the special edition where it changes the actual plot.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when I feel like you're going too far.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like a deleted scene that puts a new shade on whatever's already there, but this is an entirely different direction. It's like time travel. The timeline is branched off at this point, you know?
It's like different versions of the world, like they intersect for a second and you're like, wait a minute, you know. Heather, what say you?
Yeah. So as I said, I didn't see the special editions. So, you know, you do all of your internet searching. Thanks, Aaron, for finding YouTube stuff for me. So, you know, re-educating myself, the whole shebang. And yeah, outside of, you know, walking in front of the camera during a very important scene, I was like, okay, no problem. This is not bothering me. And then you see the major shift here. And I'm like, it just doesn't go with Han's character like at all. Even the head moved looked awkward. You know, it didn't.
Because he didn't do that in 1977.
Well, so I don't know. You know, I remember when I first heard about the whole Han shot first thing, and people were wearing shirts that said it, and I was like, why is this such a big deal? But then after rewatching stuff and learning more about it, Aaron, I think you said it beautifully. It's not good character development to have him be this way and then to continue on with his story. I think it also changes this idea of Luke and Obi-Wan, like, just finding this random guy to, like, hop on his ship. Like, he's supposed to be kind of a recluse, and can we really trust him? And which then makes him with Leia so much better, and then the resistance and the thing and the what and the huh. And so well,
yeah, my thing is it also gives credence to Greedo, like he's gonna get the jump on Han. I'm like, no, dude, this guy's a punk, and Han Solo's not John Wayne. He's Clint Eastwood. He's gonna blow this dude right out of the sky, and he does. And this one really set the fanboys and fangirls. We could probably spend a whole episode on Han shot first, but we have to move on. We have to move on.
Let's move on.
It gets a little worse. Because now this is a deleted scene that they added, and this is Jabba in Docking Bay 94, and it's a conversation that he has with Jabba. But in 1976, when they filmed this, it was some British guy in a really fur coat, and they're gonna add Jabba in, and they never did. And so now here's our opportunity to add Jabba in. But there's a little problem. He doesn't look like Jabba the Hutt.
Nope. Not at all.
Not at all. So it's an interesting scene because, again, and we talked about this on our Docking Bay 94 episode, is like there's a Rodidian that looks just like Greedo because he's wearing the same vest, but he was just shot that scene before. So it's kind of weird. And all that kind of fun stuff.
Very silly.
It's and the whole, this is another one where Han steps around Jabba, but they can't really do anything. So they say, oh, he steps on his tail, which looks awkward. It looks weird.
It's dumb. Just get rid of it.
It's just and Jabba does a little squeal, and it's
this is also where we see Boba look at the camera.
Yeah he looks at the camera, fourth wall,
it's just short of just going hey and giving a thumbs up. Oh man.
To all my fanboys out there, fangirls, here we go. He should have like danced or something in front of them, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's bad. It's bad.
Well, was The Empire Strikes Back any better?
Well, yeah, just a couple more scenes, real quick. We're almost there. Well, what do you mean, like as far as Boba Fett?
Yeah, just with the special editions.
Oh, okay. I think again, when we talked about the budget, he spent $10 million on this to redo all it, and there's not a lot of different changes in the other two, but this one says the most, Okay. But real quick, at the end, Death Star, they add more X-Wings. You get to see a whole squadron of X-Wings go after and this is your first like digital ships. They look really great. They clean up some of the dogfighting and add a couple more kind of shots of the Death Star, which makes it a little bit more exciting.
Some more motion.
There's a lot of motion there. They also added in the Death Star scene itself, Han's running down the corridor where he's like, him and Chewie are like chasing after him. And when he rounds the corner and there's a whole squadron, there's a whole like bay of stormtroopers. You're like, whoa. And it's just a real quick shot, but it adds to the kind of like he runs back right away. And so you can understand why he does that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a longer scene with Luke and Biggs. Again, we don't see Biggs. He's only mentioned, but then there's a longer scene of Biggs being added, and they kind of talk with Gold Leader and Red Leader, and they kind of talk a little bit. Luke, can you fly this thing? And so it adds a little bit more to Biggs' friendship with Luke, that kind of thing. And the final thing is the Death Star explosion is huge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big shockwave ring that wasn't in the original version. So that's pretty much all the changes in New Hope. I think obviously the Han Solo one is the biggest one. So shall we move on to Empire Strikes Back?
Let's.
Okay, so really, George says this. He says, according to Lucas, Empire actually boasts the most changes of all three films, but mainly it's restricted to the removal of all the black composite lines around the snow speeders. So if you know anything about green screen and everything, it's very difficult to do it on white. And that's what George wanted to do. And they did a really good job back in 1980. But now with as you're getting into more of the digital age, they really had to clean that up. And so they cleaned up a lot of that scenes and models on the white, on the white matte paintings and white live footage that they used to kind of show the motion of the snow speeders and stuff. Yep. So cleaned all of that up, which is nice. There's a new scene. They could never get the Wampa right. Well, first of all, they were freezing out in Norway, and they basically did most of the shots like 10 feet away from the hotel.
Yep.
So they really couldn't get the Wampa right. And so they recreated the Wampa cave and put a guy in a Wampa suit and made the cave like a little miniature set. And they shot a couple new shots where he's eating the tauntaun and adds a little bit more tension to the original scene, which I really liked. And then there's also a shot where Luke cut off the Wampa's arm. In the original one, you just see the Wampa arm laying on the ground. But in this, in the new version, you see him actually scream and kind of grab his arm a little bit, which is very cool, I think. I think it adds a little bit more to the actual picture.
Right.
So there's that. And then there's a lot of cleanup too in Cloud City. They actually add, get to see a Tabana gas refinery in one of the map painting shots. It's like kind of the first shot of Cloud City. There's a little Tabana gas little mine thing in the foreground, which was never there. There's a lot of it's just cleaner as far as like there's actually. When the Cloud Cars kind of shoot at him and they bring in the Falcon, he actually flies through Cloud City a little bit, and you get to see that a little bit more clear, which was never in the original film. And then they added a bunch of stuff like in the interior of Cloud City. There's a lot more windows and you can see the outside, and there's a lot of little cleanup that they did. So it looks a little bit more livelier, I guess would be it looks not like it's just a set. It actually looks like you could see, in the sky. There's when they're chasing after, when Boba Fett has Han Solo and kind of loads him in the docking bay, they actually show a couple more shots where Lando, Leia, and Han or not Han, Chewie are running towards Han. And so they actually have a different kind of shot, which you can actually see the Slave One off in the distance of where they're going. When Lando kind of announces evacuate the city, you actually see people react to that. Besides our ice cream man, they show a couple more shots of like, oh, somebody's talking to us, that kind of thing. There's when Vader says, take him to the shuttle. You actually see him go to a shuttle, and the shuttle actually goes to the one of the Star Destroyers, which was all little things added. And you actually see the shuttle arrive into the Death Star or one of the Star Destroyers as well. Mm-hmm. The biggest tweak here, not only with the Wampa, but then when Luke falls, when you get the reveal of Darth Vader, and it's like, no, that's impossible. He kind of falls. And in the original version, he just falls. He's falling. Yep. He's falling. In this one, he kind of gets a Wilhelm scream. He's like, no, and he kind of falls. Mm-hmm. And he's screaming the whole time as he's falling.
Yeah.
Now, here's why that's important. It's when he's originally just like falling and he stays silent, that just shows that it's a choice that he's making, and it's not out of fear. He's escaping. But when you put the scream in there, it's like,
almost suicidal in a sense. It's like, I'm going to die.
Yeah, it's a bit ambiguous, but when you put the scream in there, it's like it could be interpreted as he's just afraid, which maybe he is, but I don't know. There's some kind of like dignity to it when it's just silent. It's almost like an act of defiance, but you don't get that when he just screams.
Heather, what do you think about the scream?
Well, I was going to say, I was like, I don't really have any issue with any of the changes on Empire. To me, nothing significant to change anything major. Although now that you're talking about it, now I'm like, because if I was falling, I'd be screaming. Let's just call that what that is.
Okay.
But I like this other perspective that you're providing, which is why I love doing this podcast, because you guys open my eyes to things that I wouldn't normally catch myself. But
we expand your brain, man. That's what we try to do here.
So I mean, because it just the cleaner. I loved the addition of the Wampa, like you, Todd. I think it helps just create more of the universe and understanding of what's going on. But for the scream, oh man, I might have to go back and rewatch it and like reevaluate it all now, because the idea of silence holds a much different amount of weight, like you're saying, than just a traditional scream. Because it is such a pivotal point in the movie where Luke's life is basically changed forever with that head knowledge.
Well, and he'd rather die.
I don't know.
Yeah, he basically volunteers and jumps because he's like, I don't know if I'm going to live or not, but I'm not going to basically be a slave to him. And also, if he's my dad, I don't want to deal with that right now. So I'm just going to jump. And like Aaron said, it really adds some weight to it. It's like, I might survive, I might not. And that's what I'm saying. It's almost suicidal in a sense, like, I don't want to do this. This is not cool,
Yeah.
But when you add the scream to it, it's like, I'm just scared. Like I'm almost scared.
Yeah.
It's
not as cool.
Food for thought, guys. Food for thought.
The other changes I actually appreciate. Mostly like cleaning up the visual effects on Hoth. The Wampa scene, I thought was fine on its own, but you know, the special edition, it's not bad. It's mostly a matter of like pacing. So I can appreciate that, but everything else, not a big issue.
You know
for
why?
me.
You know why?
Why is that?
You know why? Because Empire's the best movie.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Even the special edition version.
And it's, you know, like again, like I said, it's cleaning up and making it a little, and it's shot really well. It's just, you know, the snow speeders on white wasn't really good, you know.
Sure.
And so when you're seeing that in a bigger theater now, you know, in 1997, it's like, there's like, you can tell it's a low model or whatever, but cleaning it up, it makes it a lot cleaner. But it's just the scream again. There's always, in every one of these, there's always something like makes you kind of shake your head. The scream is one of them for Empire.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Return of Jedi.
All right.
Oh boy, here we go. I'm just gonna say it right now. This one's not horrible, but there's some. The first one is right off the bat. They had a whole little singing number in Jabba's palace.
Oh no!
All right, so
I tried to forget.
In the original,
you made me remember.
In the original version, it's the Max Rebo band. So Max Rebo is the blue elephant guy, and there's Nice Noodles, which is a rod puppet singer that's kind of like Mick Jagger in a sense. She's got some swagger, and a kind of lumpy little clarinet guy, Droopy McCool. Those are that's the Max Rebo band. Now they bring in this guy called Joe Wassa, who's basically like James Brown, and they changed the whole song. And there's Twi'leks, and there's Twi'leks, but then there's Weequays that are banging on the drums, and it's a little much. Nice Noodles now is not a rod puppet; she's CGI. This Joe Wassa kind of guy CGI. He's CGI, and you got some backup singers. It's just it's something. It's something. I don't know.
It's so bad.
It's bad.
It's so bad.
But in the scene, you get Boba Fett flirts with one of the dancers, which is
that ladies man. There you go.
I like that. I kind of like that.
It's fine.
It's fine. Plus the other thing, we shared this before. I know I shared this on the socials. The guy that's in Boba Fett's costume is like a complete nerd, and it's fantastic, and it's awesome.
Let him have his 15 minutes, guys. Let him.
That's right. That's right. So Boba Fett flirts. Right. As they're going to the Sarlacc pit, there is a herd of banthas that you can see. Which we never seen a bantha more than just the single shot of In A New Hope, but now we have a herd of banthas, which is nice. And they kind of clean up the sail barge. In the original version, there's a guy on top of the deck that is totally a cartoon. They kind of clean that up, and it actually looks like a actual person on there. And then they changed the Sarlacc pit. So now the Sarlacc pit is not just this big hole. Now it looks more or less like a little shop of horrors. It's got like a little beak and more tentacles coming out of it, and it makes a little noise. What do you think of the Sarlacc pit alteration, Aaron?
I don't mind it that much, actually, because it makes it look like an actual creature instead of like a plant. The only thing
just a big hole in the sand.
Yeah. The only thing is it's just not good CGI. And so like you could totally tell that it's a modification. So So the idea of it is probably all right, but the implementation not too good.
Heather, any thoughts on the Sarlacc?
Yeah, I can kind of go either way. I think there is something sort of intimidating about a hole where you don't actually know what you're going to meet at the bottom of that provides,
Sure.
fear and whatever. But I also don't mind the idea of a tentacle being coming up to get you. But I do agree that the CGI and the output of it was a little like, that's what I'm scared of. Okay.
Doesn't look so bad. Right.
I could probably fight that. That's okay. So
Right.
Yeah. So for me, it wasn't too bad, but I'm gonna go back 1 point for 30 seconds and say I love banthas now. So I'm excited about the herd.
Okay. I didn't know you like banthas now.
Well, when we get to Cantina Chat, we'll have a little conversation.
Okay. I love the little plug for sure. All right. Death Star explosion is like the Death Star explosion in A New Hope. There's a big shockwave that is a lot more cleaner and consistent with what they did in A New Hope. Okay, here we go. They change at the end. Happy ending. Everyone's clapping. We got the amazing Yub Nub song, and they change it. So
Yub Nub.
It's a new piece for John Williams. So John Williams does compose a new piece for this, but they change the celebration. There's more dancing, I guess, in the one scene, and it's a whole different feel than the original ending. And the cool part, this is a cool part though, is they tease us here. So they show once the Death Star explodes, they show Bright Tree Village of Ewoks dancing, and they change the song. They actually flash to 3 cities. So they go to Mos Eisley, and people are celebrating. You get to see a Skyhopper, which is the first time you actually get to see the ship up close, besides Luke's model. But it's also parked in his garage, but that's another point. But you actually get to see it flying. You get to see Celebration of Cloud City. And then finally, our first shot of Coruscant. Which is amazing because this is already something that we've never seen before. It's always talked about, and my dear friend Timothy Zahn is the one that named Imperial City Coruscant, and they actually use that in Star Wars. And basically, we get to see a couple shots of it at night, and it looks amazing. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And little do we know that we're actually going to see that in the Phantom Menace. So they were kind of already playing around with it back then. So I think that's cool because it kind of gives a little bit more space and like kind of revisit some of your hot spots. Obviously, we didn't get to see any new worlds, but the Coruscant, but we get to see Mos Eisley and Cloud City again in Return of the Jedi. So what are your thoughts about the ending scene there?
You know what? This might be the one special edition change that I actually enjoy, and that would be when they go over to Coruscant and it's like the crowd of people and they got like the dead stormtrooper,
yes.
Crowd surfing. I appreciate that. Nice little touch there.
And the Emperor's statue falls, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah,
it's like it kind of gives that kind of like a World War II kind of moment. Again, shout out to our veterans and everybody that serves our country. That was yesterday, and celebrated today. But it kind of gives that like kind of freedom, like we're out of this tyranny, and now we're tearing up stormtroopers and crowd surfing, and you get to see kind of the statue fall, which is kind of a neat perspective. Get basically more fireworks, which is also good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Yeah. But Yub Nub needs to stay. There's no replacing that.
Hashtag Yub Nub.
Oh, Ewoks.
Ewoks. Any final thoughts before we get onto the news of the week, any final thoughts there, Heather?
I think overall, I mean, outside of what, maybe 2 or 3 big issues that we've chatted about,
Yeah,
throughout the 3 films, overall the changes haven't been horrific. Cleaning up imagery and what we've been able to do with the advance of technology, I think has been a good thing, specifically with like more detail of ships and fighting scenes and cleaning up scenery and what the Star Wars universe visually looks like, I think is great. So from my perspective, I think we're okay as long as there's that base understanding that Han shot first, and we can all just walk away and pretend like it's all okay.
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm good.
You're good. Okay. Aaron, any final thoughts?
Well, I was fortunate enough to see the original trilogy unspoiled by any modifications. Because I had mentioned this before on the podcast, but I had I think the 1985 CBS release of the VHS, of the original trilogy, unaltered. So praise be for that. But and I originally saw the special editions at my grandmother's house. We were over there for Christmas or something, Thanksgiving, something like that. And we always watch a movie, and I'm like, oh, sure. I've seen these at home, but wait, these are different. They've got gold on the cover.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh. And then they had the little. I always loved watching it because they had the little documentary at the beginning, like, oh, here's how we made it, and here are all the changes that I wanted to do to make a Star Wars. And so, right. And at that time, I was really fascinated to see like how movies were made and everything. So I was like, like eyes as big as dinner plates. Like, whoa, we finally get to see how they did it. And then they made like those changes, and even back then, I just felt weird about it, but I didn't know why. Yeah. So mostly like the Han shooting first thing, and especially the Return of the Jedi new song. Really hated that. But yeah, a lot of it was just like the special effects grandstanding, and I don't appreciate that. So I still I still prefer the original cut, but that's not to say that every change in the special editions was necessarily bad. They just didn't know where to stop. And that has continued to this very day with the 2004 DVDs and the Blu-rays.
Right, exactly. All right, there you have it. 1997 was a pivotal year for Star Wars, and we got a little fresh coat of paint, a couple altered scenes, but overall pushing Star Wars into the digital age. All right, Heather, what's going on?
Well, news of the week is going on.
And now, the Star Wars news of the week.
So, I have some information from geek.com to share with you, gentlemen.
All right, what is it?
Disney's streaming TV service sounds absolutely terrifying.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
I thought Spooky Month was over.
Right? So, this reveal comes after weeks of news trickling out about the original programming planned for the service. So when you see a headline or two, it's not so bad. It's exciting. We're getting all this new exciting stuff. But when you see the whole lineup, we're a little terrified about the absolute dominant Disney brand and how much power they wield over
power.
The consumers by putting it all in one place and you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, we know that we've got The Mandalorian coming. We've got the recently announced live action Star Wars show about Cassian from Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
What? All right, let's talk about that. What do you think?
An odd choice. It wouldn't have been my first choice for a spin-off show, but it just might work. I just hope they keep to
my gloves. My gloves.
Yeah, I hope they keep to that where, he's not afraid to just straight up shoot a dude to escape. More that and less the rest of the movie.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, but
I'm just saying he got soft after that.
Yeah, he did.
He met a girl. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
Oh boy.
But not only is Disney holding Star Wars, but we've got Marvel, where there are shows being developed for Loki. Thank you, Tom Hiddleston. Join us anytime you want on this podcast. Anytime.
Anytime.
We've got a Scarlet Witch, a Falcon, Winter Soldier team up. And then we're looking at the Mighty Ducks and Monsters Inc. And the Muppet Show. Apparently they're going to reboot High School Musical. You don't have to. That's okay. Remakes of 3 Men and a Baby. Again, you don't have to.
Right.
Father of the Bride, Honey for the Kids, Parent Trap. There's something called Timmy Failure. I don't know. There's basically there's a good chunk of stuff coming.
They've got a lot.
And there's not enough hours in the day.
Right.
And not enough money.
But but the thing is from Star Wars perspective, we still won't get the first 8 until a while because Ted Turner's got that locked down.
For sure. So.
But it is kind of, when you kind of put it all together, and again, what Geek.com is kind of saying is there's a lot there. There's a lot of content, even though you're making shows that we might not want, but stuff with the Marvel and Star Wars stuff, it's crazy. It's all right, here's another $10 I have to spend on a monthly subscription.
So, and we're going to do it.
Well, the whole idea was you had 5 TV stations and then you had to buy cable to get the hundreds and hundreds of stations on top of channels on top of that. And now we're back to getting your 5 stations, but now you got to pay for it piecemeal by month online. It's I
know.
No, we were trying to cut the cable. So they're getting us.
Oh man,
they figured out a way.
So
they are. Well, thank you for that interesting news there, Heather.
Anytime.
All right. Next up, Wired.com. Here's the headline. Was a Star Wars escape pod really just a KFC bucket? So, where this comes from is that one of the special model makers from Star Wars basically described in a post was that the Star Wars crew built an escape pod from a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket and then dropped it from a height of 18 feet while filming it from above. So, and they added some small flecks of trash to give the explosion separation, kind of like what you see on the NASA Apollo mission.
I always love that detail, by the way.
Yes.
It really sells it.
Yeah. But it was a KFC bucket. So this article is fascinating if you want to read through the whole thing, because he basically nerds out and tries to recreate what it would be. And really at the end of the day, if you change the frame rate from 24 frames per second to 58.5, and you have the correct acceleration, and basically his last sentence is, I'm pretty sure this is just a falling KFC bucket made to look like a spaceship, just like the model maker said in his video. So I would go to Wired.com, check it out. It's fascinating. And I just think, again, it's one of those tricks where you think it's something more, but it's very simple and just how you, kind of your eyes deceive you. And it was a KFC bucket. So there you go.
I could just imagine, it's lunch break. They're like, all right, by the end of the day, we have to have this shot. What are we going to do? And, he's just munching on a chicken leg.
Yeah. This bucket could be space worthy.
Yep. My boss at the radio station, he was teaching me something last week, and he said, when things go wrong, don't focus on what you've lost, but focus on what you have. and just make the best you can with that. And it's such an important lesson for stuff like this where you have to improvise. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So remember that, Aaron, when we lose the podcast, you're like, oh, well,
yeah,
we'll clean it up somehow. And then finally today, this news broke today on Monday, the 12th, but Stan Lee passed away after age of 95. So heck of a 95 issues, Mr. Stan Lee. And
absolutely.
I didn't, we have a little notes, and I posted like all the characters that Stan Lee does, and didn't realize it's literally 7 pages of characters that this man has created. And it's unbelievable. It's literally like some of these guys you're like, I've never heard of them, but he created them. And some of the big ones we're seeing on the screen right now. And it's mind blowing. Heather, what's your thoughts on Stan Lee?
Well, first and foremost, thoughts and prayers to his family, and just the time that they're in, to the fandom as a large, or as a whole, excuse me, whether it's those who were in films or worked in the office building or just us as fans. I think it goes to show that someone can work hard at creating something memorable that we kind of, I think it's something like Carla said last week, we're a family that brings us together because of one thing. I think the biggest thing that I'm so sad about is we don't get any more Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
In future films. I think his
apparently
cameos...
they filmed a bunch before he passed. Because I'm pretty sure they filmed one for each film that they have planned at this time.
Okay, good. Because
so this isn't the last you've seen of him.
Oh, thank goodness! Because there's just something so sweet and adorable about those moments where he gets to enter the world he's created.
Right. Yeah.
So to have that live on, it makes me very excited.
Yeah. Aaron, what's your thoughts on Stan Lee?
Well, it's so weird to just kind of think of these highly successful human beings. They kind of become superheroes themselves to us. And was it 2016 with all the different celebrity deaths? And it's like, when each one of them hit, it's like, there's kind of this feeling of how will we ever go on without them? Which on one level is kind of a silly question because, they're celebrities who have nothing really to do with our lives as we live them on a day-to-day basis. But on the other hand, they're the people who create the stories that help us figure out what life is all about and how to make sense of life. And, every time we lose one of those storytelling voices, we lose a unique perspective on, call it the human condition or the way things are. And it just makes the landscape of ideas that much smaller. So, it's a real shame, but it's also an inspiration because he was still doing what he loved, well into his 90s. And he just knew what he was and what he wanted to do, and he stuck to it. Yeah. And that's an inspiration. So,
yeah. Well said. I think, one of my favorite cameos, I mean, there's a bunch, but one of the original ones was in Spider-Man, and he looks at Tobey Maguire, the first Spider-Man, and he says, "What? Yeah, right, exactly. One man can make a difference," and it's kind of telling of Stan Lee himself as far as just in the comic book industry. He's kind of one of those people that created so many, and so many characters. Like I said, there's like 7 pages of it. Google it tonight, but he made some really good ones. There's a lot of bad ones, but he made some really good ones. And those characters inspired so many people and so many different levels, from people in the comic book industry to now kids seeing the Avengers don't understand like half of those guys are Stan Lee's creations, and what those actors are bringing to those characters is phenomenal. And you can kind of see that in a kind of visual sense. But it's very inspiring to say, don't be ashamed of your ideas and taking those ideas and making them happen. You don't know what those impact are. And for him to, like you said, Heather, to kind of like be in the real world of his creations is always a fun idea. And just those cameos are great. And it's fun seeing him, interact with those characters he created, which is great, So this one's a sad one. This one's a real bummer, but he definitely made a real impact in pop culture, and his impact will still remain with all those characters he's created for so long. So, tip of the hat to Stan Lee.
Well, let's move on into Cantina Chat. So, I guess I'll start off with Cantina Chat.
Sure.
I think between the last time we recorded and today, the Star Wars RPG group has not met yet. We will be meeting Wednesday night, so whenever this podcast comes out. But meanwhile, in the cooking world, I had a craving for cheesy hamburger helper, and I can't have it with my dietary restrictions. But I found a recipe online.
No one should have hamburger helper.
Well, I found a healthy alternative recipe to it, so I made it from scratch. You ready? So
I'm ready.
You cut up an onion, put it in the pan, brown it for a little bit. Then put your ground hamburger in there. Cook it till it's brown, no pink or anything, and then you add a can of coconut milk. Put that in there, melt it down, bring it to a boil, and then you add coconut aminos, which is like a soy sauce alternative.
All right.
You add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and then to make it cheesy, you use something called nutritional yeast, which is a lot of vegans use it to as a cheese flavor substitute. So you add that till it's as cheesy as you want it, and then you thicken up the sauce with something called arrowroot starch, which is a replacement for cornstarch. And my goodness, it is way more delicious than your box of hamburger helper. So, yeah, that's on my Twitter and Instagram if you want to check it out. But
all right, follow this dude.
So good. They're so good. So I was really happy to make that discovery. So
nice, dude. Nice. Add that to the recipe card so you can pull that back out. You know?
Sure.
Awesome.
Todd, what's up with you? What's going on in your life?
Well, I was gone last week because I was on a Bears trip.
Oh, how did that go?
Yeah, Chicago Bears. So every year, me and my friends, shout out to the Bears group. We go out and we're trying to hit every stadium in the NFL. So there's 32 teams, and so we're on our 9th year. And so we went to Buffalo, New York, see the Bears play Buffalo Bills, and it was a lot of fun. And I came back last Monday and I was wiped out, lost my voice.
Oh no!
So I was not podcast worthy. So it's like I got to take a night off, guys. So very sad I missed Carla G. But just this week I finished. I got a book for my birthday called Scum and Villainy, and so I just finished that. Very fun book by Pablo Hidalgo. And it really kind of gives you a little different perspective on the different scum and villainy of the Star Wars universe. So I really enjoyed that. So just finished that up and got to watch some Solo again. So watched some Solo over the weekend and a lot of fun. Love that movie. So that's my geekiness for the week.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Heather, what's up with you? What's going on?
Yeah, so I watched Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Which was super exciting.
Right.
Where Bruce had a figurine of a bantha. I was like, this is really cool looking. And then I just realized as I was watching, I'm like, they're just big, fluffy animals, and they just probably have like the sweetest nature. That they headbutt you to say that they love you. I don't know. I maybe I'm drinking. I don't know. But they just made me really happy. So yeah, that's where the bantha love came from. And then I watched The Force Awakens.
Right.
And I messaged these guys to be like, is it normal to be crying at the beginning of this? When BB-8 has to go off and then they're reunited, and it was so bad. So that was a lot of fun. But then I watched the special features on The Force Awakens because I hadn't done that yet. I know, right? I'm losing my Star Wars card like every time I open my mouth.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, so that was really fun. And I think I'm really excited because listening to J.J. Abrams speak about it. And then because, and we as a podcast have gone through The Last Jedi with Ryan's documentary. And I was just really reminded about the overall fandom of the filmmakers towards this series. I don't know if you guys know this, but Star Wars is really cool. I don't know. I guess I just hit a reset button on
that.
I don't know about that.
I think I just had to.
We've only been talking about Star Wars for 97 consecutive weeks. 7 weeks.
But yeah, so I hit a Star Wars reset button this weekend with just that kid excitement that comes. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, did you know the bantha in New Hope was an elephant?
Yeah. Well, because he looks like an elephant, and then he kind of with the horns, and so then he looks like a buffalo.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Movie magic.
Right. So. Yeah. Now I think you need to become a Jawa and a Tusken Raider, so then you can ride a bantha and create, make a bantha.
Got to complete the circle.
Right. Exactly. Oh man, I can't wait for that. I'm ready for a bantha. But maybe just start off with like a stuffed animal and then go from there.
Smart.
So,
okay.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Twitter Trash Compactor. Jeez, can I say that? Twitter Trash Compactor. All right.
I don't care what you smell. Get in there. Don't worry about it.
All right, so every week we do a poll on the old Twitter, and just last week we were talking to Carla G, and she's from the 501st and the Rebel Legion. And so the question was, do you belong to any of these Star Wars community groups? So there's the 501st Legion, there's the Rebel Legion, there's the Mandalorian Mercs, are the three kind of prominent ones, and then the other choice was thinking about it. So we didn't get a lot of votes. People, vote. Did you vote last week? You got to vote now for real and Twitter now. So, but the overwhelming majority was thinking about it. So cosplayers maybe on the side and now looking into get into Star Wars. So yeah, if you're doing that, think about it and get on it, because Star Wars Celebration's coming up, and so you need to get your best cosplay out for that. So there you go. That's Twitter Trash Compactor.
That was the compactor for those.
That was it was concise. It was concise. It wasn't really slow, real slow. Like,
all right, Heather, why don't you compact this podcast into a nice little cube so we can ship it off to China?
I love it. Oh, man. Well, everybody, thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. Please check us out on the social medias, WSTR Media. And then we want to hear from you. So we need you to comment. We need you to tweet. We need you to rate us on iTunes. Send us an email at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. You can also leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR, 630-557-9787. And we are collecting your Star Wars Celebration stories. If you've been there or if you've not, tell us what your hopes and dreams are. Because it's coming to Chicago, people, and we want to know what's going on.
We know what your hopes and dreams are. You want to see a real live bantha at Celebration.
I mean, basically, yeah. And then, check out our whole back catalog of episodes on our website at www.wstrmedia.com. And yeah, we've got merch, people, because we're kind of a big deal. So if you need that t-shirt, or you're getting chilly, so you need that sweatshirt, rep us at the gym with the new leggings. We got it at teespring.com/stores/WSTR Media. So, a
lot of slashes,
lots of W's. We're just all over the place, but you know how to get a hold of us. We want to hear from you, so we know how to get a hold of you. And if you can believe it, next week we will be at episode 98.
98. Oh. Almost to the big 100.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So we're probably going to talk about Star Wars. So
pretty safe bet.
I think that's a good bet. Okay. Yeah, that's a safe bet.
Put that
safe
out there. So, all right, gentlemen, are we ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Now this
is podcasting.
Stay tuned. We're going to release a special edition of this episode.
Altered.